Hey guys, hope you're well. My name is Rob. Welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. Now, if you would like to become a member of the channel, you now can. There's a join button just below the video. It's $4.99 a month to become a member of this channel to support myself and the content that I do. The season is coming to an end soon for both Super League and the NRL, but there will be England v Samoa Test match content coming soon, as well as the Pacific Championships as well. So if you'd like to support me and the channel, you can do by joining the membership. So if you do, thanks very much. Let's crack on with the video. Ladies and gentlemen of Australia, New Zealand, Tonga, Samoa, Papua New Guinea, Cook Islands, Fiji, even Vanuatu. We made it. We made it to the NRL finals. We are here in the big show of the NRL finals. I will leave a recap of last week up on the screen for you now, and I will be incredibly frustrated at the fact that I did not quite get 8 out of 8. This is the final opportunity to get a perfect week. Just missed out. Just. So close, yet so far. But not many games to go. Try and get 4 out of 4 this week, get the percentage up. But that is 121 out of 204 with a percentage of 59.31%. We'll crack on with the first game of this week. Kicking things off, we have the Panthers taking on the Roosters. Starting with the team list of the Panthers. In the backs, they have Dylan Edwards, Sonia Taruva, Isaac Tango, Paul Alamotti, Brian To'o, Jerome Luai, and Nathan Cleary. In the forwards is Moses Leota, Mitch Kenny, James Fisher-Harris, Scott Sorensen, Liam Martin, and Isaiah Yeo. On the bench is Trent Tolau, Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry, and Luke Garner. On the side of the Roosters, in the backs, they have James Tedesco, Daniel Tupou, Joseph Sawali, Joey Manu, Dominic Young, Luke Keary, and Sandon Smith. In the forwards is Spencer Leniu, Connor Watson, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Satili Tupanua, and Nat Butcher. On the bench for the Roosters is Zach Docker-Clay, Naufahu White, Siwa Wong, and Terrell May. Both teams almost at full strength. The Roosters unfortunately without Sam Walker and Brandon Smith. But Sandon Smith steps in at number 7, Connor Watson starts at number 9 again. I didn't think it would be an issue for the Roosters last week, and it certainly wasn't. They looked perfectly comfortable. No issues in that team. The backline is still solid with Tupou, Sawali, Manu, and Young. They're going to be difficult to break down, even though the Panthers have a really good attack. That backline is difficult to break down. And with James Tedesco having a strong season, there was loads of complaints about him last year, possibly the year before as well. But this season, he's been really, really solid. Stats-wise, is looking a little bit better than Dylan Edwards in some areas, even if you take the appearance stats into account as well. Tedesco has had a lot more appearances this season. So on certain rates, Tedesco has performed better than Dylan Edwards in some areas. But I think, looking at this squad, the main battle that I'm looking at right now is the kicking game into the corners. You've got Taruva and To'o, two very reliable wingers, of course, we know. Great finishers on the attacking side, but defensively can be reliable. But coming up against Daniel Tupou and Dominic Young, there's some tough aerial battles. So as long as Sandon Smith doesn't have to worry too much about the long-range kicking game, Luke Keary can take that on. Kicks to the corners are vital because those height advantages on the wings, the Roosters are looking good in those departments there. And even Manu and Sawali, they're good in the air as well. So there's a very small back line for the Panthers. Now, Nathan Cleary being back in there now helps significantly, takes a lot of pressure off Jerome Luai, having to control everything at number 7. Nathan Cleary can do what he does best, and that is basically win games for the Panthers. Is he going to be enough? Is he going to be fresh enough? We will have to see. That's a bit of a question mark for me. I think at least the fact that Smith and Watson had a full 80 minutes in there to gel with this team, to be the leaders in those key positions in the spine, and another week's training to work out any kinks that they've got, I think that's a huge plus compared to Nathan Cleary. Now you look at the forward battle, oh my god. Leniu and Collins versus Leota and Fisher-Harris. Jesus. And then you take a look at Angus Crichton. Satili Tupanua has not been half bad this season, to be fair, for the Roosters, but Angus Crichton has been quality, absolute quality. Scott Sorensen and Liam Martin, both solid defenders, good with the ball as well, but solid defensively. I'm really liking what the Roosters can put up against the Panthers. I know people will say defensively the Panthers might be too strong, but I love the attack of this Roosters team, and I think last week was a clear indication that their attack is still great. They've conceded a few too many points for me. That's my biggest issue with the Roosters right now, but they're scoring points for fun. And I think that's going to be enough in this game. I think the spine is going to work well enough. Tedesco, Keary, Smith and Watson. I think the Panthers will give him a hell of a game. Edwards will have so many great moments. Luai will be an absolute pain in the backside on the left-hand side. Cleary on the right. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game, but ultimately I think the Roosters have enough to get it done. So give me the Roosters to win 1 to 12 points. Next up, we have the Storm taking on the Sharks, starting with the team list of the Storm. In the backs, they have Ryan Pappenhausen, Will Warbrick, Jack Howarth, Nick Meaney, Xavier Coates, Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes. In the forwards is Nelson Asfa-Solomona, Harry Grant, Josh King, Sean Bloor, Elias Katoa and Trent Liero. On the bench is Tyron Wishart, Christian Welch, Tui Kamikamitha and Alec McDonald. On the side of the Sharks, in the backs, they have William Kennedy, Sione Katoa, Jesse Ramian, Cale Iro, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Braden Trindle and Nico Hines. In the forwards is Toby Rudolph, Blake Brayley, Oregon Kafusi, Britton Nakora, Teague Wilton and Cameron McInnes. On the bench is Daniel Atkinson, Jack Williams, Royce Hunt and Siasifa Talakai. One of the important things for me in this game, I don't normally talk about this aspect as much, but one big question mark for me with the Sharks is their bench. Now, they've got some big boys on that bench at the moment, but it's also very, very versatile. Daniel Atkinson has actually played on the wing, I believe, in 1 or 2 games. So if he has to play on the wing, he can. If he needs to play at centre, he can. If he needs to play in the halves, he can. There's versatility in the backs. Siasifa Talakai can also join the back line as well. He can play in the centres. He can play at 11 or 12 in the second row. Maybe even at lock. We'll have to see. Royce Hunt, a big guy off the bench, and Jack Williams there to support as well, coming off the bench. So it's not necessarily big bodies, but it's versatile players, which could suit them depending on how this game goes. If there's changes that need to be made significantly in different areas, I like the versatility. Not too sure on whether it's a big enough bench, but it's versatile and could actually have an impact. We'll have to see. I'm not putting too much weight on it though, but I think it's sneakily could be important. So we'll see. But the fact that you look at this Storm team, even the relatively inexperienced players like Jack Howarth, for example, has actually come leaps and bounds over the last couple of weeks and months. He's improved significantly, linked up really well in the attack, has not slowed it down, has not taken away some of the efficiency and momentum. He's actually added to it. He's been important to that team. So that's great to see. Ryan Pappenhausen, fully fit, ready to go. Cameron Munster, first few weeks when he came back in to replace Tyron Wishart, who replaced Cameron Munster, wasn't looking too great. Chemistry seemed a little bit off, but now they are firing. Jerome Hughes is on a different level. I will say again, second best halfback in the NRL. I'm telling you. And then Harry Grant at 9. Come on, this is ridiculous. But even players in the forwards, Nelson Asfa-Solomona setting a platform. Jesus. Sean Bloor, Elias Katoa on the edges. Really solid job this season, especially Katoa. He's been really impressive. And Trent Liero, real solid through the middle as well. And then Tyron Wishart, the Wishart effect off the bench. Even when he starts, you can't not factor him into a game. Now, I like what the Sharks have done this season in a lot of games. I think they can spread the ball around really well. They can play the flat style, they can play the deep style. They can go at you in different ways. Defensively, they can be solid. But this Storm team, they've had to face some real tough challenges this season, and they've just come out the other end squeaky clean. So I think the Sharks will certainly put up a hell of a fight. They'll have their jabs, but I think the knockout blow will come from Melbourne Storm. In the second half, the Sharks just won't be able to keep up with it, especially when they start bringing Wishart into the game even more. He's going to be the big difference maker in this one, I think. They'll already set a platform, but Wishart will be the difference maker that I don't think the Sharks can keep up with. So I'm going to go with the Storm to win, 13+. Next up, we have the Cowboys taking on the Knights, starting with the team list of the Cowboys. In the backs, they have Scott Drinkwater, Cal Felt, Valentine Holmes, Viliami Vailea, Murray Talangi, Tom Dearden, and Jake Clifford. In the forwards is Jordan McLean, Reece Robson, Jason Taumalolo, Helam Lukey, Jeremiah Nanai, and Ruben Cotter. On the bench for the Cowboys is Sam McIntyre, Harrison Edwards, Kulakefu Finifeyuaki, and Griffin Neem. On the side of the Knights, in the backs they have Kalen Ponga, Fletcher Sharp, Dane Gagai, Bradman Best, Greg Marju, Jack Cogger, and Phoenix Crosland. In the forwards is Daniel Saifiti, Jaden Braley, Leo Thompson, Tyson Frizzell, Dylan Lucas, and Adam Elliott. On the bench is Tyson Gamble, Matt Croker, Jack Hetherington, and Brodie Jones. So the Knights managed to make it into the top 8. Big result against the Dolphins. I understand there's controversy in that game. I don't really want to talk about it too much. I just want to talk about the Knights as a team right now. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, pretty poor in attack, very basic, very one-dimensional. Some of those games included Kalen Ponga. Some of those were without Kalen Ponga. It looked pretty bad for them. Kalen Ponga came in, they pretty much gave him the ball and said, go on, Kalen, you just be our attack. You just get it done for us because we can't really do this by ourselves. But over time, a couple things. Number one, they adapted a little bit, became a bit more creative. Kalen Ponga wasn't reliant on every single moment. Bradman Best is a beast down that left-hand side. Dane Gagai can help to add more meters over on the right edge as well. Jack Cogger is pretty reliable at number 6. Not my number one option at 6. It's probably Tyson Gamble for me personally. Doesn't matter. But Phoenix Crosland, I was a little bit worried about him when he was first announced at number 7 a few months ago, and whether this would be a hindrance for them. It hasn't been a hindrance at all. I think they've actually been a little bit different, maybe trickier to read in attack, and Phoenix Crosland is a little bit of an underrated player. He does go under the radar a bit and can offer a lot at 7 and especially at 9. That was overlooked a lot last season, especially when they went on that 10-game win streak. Phoenix Crosland was real solid and real important to that team. But I think now, the Knights, a lot of confidence going into this. The fact that they made it is a little bit ridiculous to me given how they were. But Kalen Ponga can have so many good moments in this game. Same with Gagai and Best. Marju and Sharp. Sharp has fitted in really well on that right wing position. He's fitting in really, really well. And he's just improving week to week. He's getting more comfortable with the league, with the position. So I think there's a good platform that the Knights have. Defensively, I've got my concerns. But in terms of building a game, I think the Knights have a good foundation at this point. It's not amazing, but it's solid enough, I think, to at least have a go against the Cowboys. Looking at the Cowboys, you've got Scott Drinkwater. Between the NRL and Super League, one of the highest combined tries and try assists. A few weeks ago, he was joint top with 2 other players from Super League, but he's adding so much value to this Cowboys team. Pair that with Tom Dearden, Viliami Vailea and Holmes on the edges, look incredible. Helam Lukey and Nanai to support them just inside as well. They're having terrific seasons, especially Jeremiah Nanai. And then the forwards overall, the Cowboys, you can't really look past McLean, Taumalolo, and Cotter through the middle. And his versatility, Ruben Cotter, can play at 13, can play 8, 10, can play hooker if you absolutely need him to. But he is such an important player through the middle. And then both benches, I think, look pretty strong as well. And the fact that the Knights can bring Gamble on if they need to. There's even Griffin Neem as an enforcer they can bring on. Finifeyuaki can be brought on as well. So this is a very interesting game. I just think the attack of the Cowboys, the way that they spread the ball at the moment, Jake Clifford's had a few more weeks in there as well to get used to this team. They're all kind of used to each other now. They've moved on from Chad Townsend. They trust Jake Clifford. And, they've built up that rapport. So I think the Cowboys will be okay on the attacking side. There'll be some questions defensively, because they've not always been perfect on that side, but I think they know how to throw the ball around, they know how to open teams up, and I think the Knights can be opened up a few too many times. So I do think this could be quite back and forth, but the Cowboys are strong enough to get this one done, as they are a great attacking team. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win, 1 to 12 points. Finally for this week, we have the Bulldogs taking on the Seagulls. Starting with the team list of the Bulldogs, in the backs they have Connor Tracy, Jacob Kiraz, Bronson Cherry, Stephen Crichton, Gerald Skelton, Matt Burton and Toby Sexton. In the forwards is Max King, Reed Marnie, Samuel Hughes, Viliami Kickout, Jacob Preston and Jamin Salmon. On the bench is Bailey Hayward, Curtis Morin, Harry Hayes and Josh Curran. On the side of the Seagulls, in the backs, they have Tom Trbojevic, Tommy Talau, Tolu Kula, Ruben Garrick, Leahy Hapuate, Luke Brooks, and Dally Cherry Evans. In the forwards is Taniela Paseka, Lachlan Croker, Matt Lodge, Hamol Olakuatu, Carl Lawton, and Jake Trbojevic. On the bench for the Seagulls is Ben Trbojevic, Josh Alaye, Ethan Bullymore, and Nathan Brown. Now, when I saw these team lists, I was racking my brain over who is taking this one. And I was unsure for a little while. I really had to think about this one. And I've eventually come to a decision on who I think is going to take it. Now, this is my thought process. You look at the spines. On paper, leans a little bit more towards the Seagulls. You've got players like Tom Trbojevic at fullback. Insanely good at his best. Luke Brooks, when there's not much pressure on him, when he can just focus on the run game, opens up defences. Dally Cherry Evans, controlling the game at number 7, is one of the best in the game, one of the best that's ever done it. And Lachlan Croker can go under the radar a little bit himself, but can punch holes through the middle. Now compare that to the Bulldogs side. Reed Marnie, I think, can punch holes through the middle better than Lachlan Croker can. I think Toby Sexton at least has a short-range kicking game that can make Tom Trbojevic have to worry about being in the right position and getting to the ball. Matt Burton, with his bombs, can make even Tom Trbojevic worry about those as well. And even Tommy Talau and Leahy Hapuate, both inexperienced young players. Or relatively inexperienced. So, and then, for me, I think on the edges it's so interesting because Kula and Garrick, both of which are pacey and reliable. Especially Garrick, I think, is a very reliable, also underrated player. People don't give him enough credit, especially for his versatility. But Cherry and Crichton versus Kula and Garrick, that's a fun battle for me. Because defensively, Kula is quick, but if you're going to have to come up against Crichton in defence, that could be the difference. You think you've got pace down the right-hand side, but you're coming up against Stephen Crichton, who can shut you down easily. One of the best defensive players in the league. Ruben Garrick with his pace, but coming up against Bronson Cherry, who's had a real solid season. So those two, I'm not sure who's going to take that one. But then, support players on the inside. Carl Lawton, experienced player. Hamol Olakuatu is an absolute tank. Versus Kickout and Jacob Preston. Jacob Preston has come on leaps and bounds himself over the last couple of years as well. And Viliami Kickout, we know how good he is. For me, this comes down to one thing. Because I've talked about the individuals and what they can do. This comes down to one thing for me now. Teamwork. Who have I seen the best teamwork from? The Bulldogs. The Bulldogs have shown the best teamwork this season. There have been too many games for me. The Seagulls have they've gone missing a little bit. They've been a bit too one-dimensional in attack. Defence has been opened up too easily. But the hard work defensively that the Bulldogs have shown, the fact that they're still, I want to say, second, maybe third best defensively in the league, they're way up there. They can shut down this Seagulls team. Even with the weapons they've got, defensively, as a unit, the Bulldogs are sound. Even though last week it wasn't great, that's an outlier for me. But in attack, they're starting to click. The second half of the season, they're getting things right. And this defensive side of the Seagulls can be a little bit dodgy. So I think teamwork is the difference. I have seen plenty of individuals on these teams come up with some great moments. And they will do in this game. But it's down to overall teamwork for me in this one that will get it over the line. So give me the Bulldogs to win 1-12 points. So to recap my predictions for this week, I'm going to take the Roosters 1-12, the Storm 13+, the Cowboys 1-12, and the Bulldogs 1-12. For winners' confidence, I'm at about 65%. I'm obviously unsure with the Roosters beating the Panthers. I'm very confident with the Storm beating the Sharks. Slightly confident with the Cowboys beating the Knights, and pretty much 51-49 for the Bulldogs beating the Seagulls. So it's a tough one for me. For margin confidence, I'm at 75%. I think if the Roosters or Panthers win, it's going to be 1-12. Storm, it could be 1-12, but I think they're just too strong for the Sharks right now. Cowboys could make it 13+. So there's a bit of doubt in that one. I think the Cowboys do have the potential to just completely destroy the Knights. And maybe there's like a weird scenario in which the Bulldogs or the Seagulls would either win by 13+. I don't think so, given this pretty well-matched game. But yeah, 65 for the win and 75 for the margin. Yeah, that's my recap for this week. So that is going to be it for this video. If you have your own predictions, please do let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know how you got on last week. But if you enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like. It does help to get the video out there to more people. Feel free to become a member of the channel as well. You'll get shout-outs when you join and at the end of each video when you become a member as well. But yeah, if you want more Rugby League content, subscribe to the channel. That is going to be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.